What's up everyone, welcome back to another video here on the Simply Car Things YouTube channel, and judging by the title of this video, you guys clicked on it because you're interested in 5 pretty cool and neat features about the new G8X M3 and M4 platform. Now this new generation of BMW M3 and M4 has not come without a ton of controversy, but for today's video specifically, we're not going to be focusing on any of the negative aspects about this car. We're actually going to be diving into some pretty cool things that not a whole lot of people are talking about that I think are worth mentioning about these new BMWs. Now you guys know my opinion on this car, especially if you follow me closely on the channel or on Instagram. I'm not the biggest fan of it. I'm very loyal to the F8X platform. That's what I own, obviously. But nevertheless, there are some cool things about the G80s that I definitely think are worth mentioning. So before we could deep dive into all those things, if you could go ahead and smash the thumbs up button as well as subscribe to my YouTube channel down below, I would appreciate that a ton. Let's get into it. Getting straight into the first feature that we're going to be talking about that is actually really nice to know, especially for those that like to tune or make high power on their BMWs, is actually the crank hub. Now the S55, which is the engine that's featured in the F8X cars, has a known sort of Achilles heel issue where if you're pushing pretty high power, I'd say anywhere north of the 550 horsepower to the wheels mark, you can run into the crank hub spinning where the engine goes out of time and you end up, because the S55 is an interference engine, you can have valves coming into contact with pistons, engine damage, you have to get the head rebuilt. All that stuff is just not a pretty scenario. It happens for some people don't have the issue, it's very hit or miss. But in the S58 engine, which is the successor to the S55, and that's the engine that is currently in the X3M, the X4M, and the M3 and M4 models, there is no longer the crank hub issue. And the reason for that is because the crank hub now is all one solid piece. The oil pump and timing chain sprockets are all one singular piece, and they're actually pinned to the end of the crankshaft, so the crank hub issue in theory should no longer be a thing anymore. It should just be a thing of the past. And judging by the way that a lot of these X3M and X4Ms have held up and the amount of power that people are able to run on them and how fast they are, it doesn't seem like it's going to be an issue. And overall, the S58, just from a reliability standpoint, seems like it's going to be pretty stout. Obviously, the S55 is as well, but to not have to worry about the crank hub issue is a big, big plus on top of what is already a very stout power plant. Diving into the second neat aspect about the G8X M3 and M4 is actually going to have to do with the exhaust system. Now the S55, I am one of the weirdos that actually really likes the sound of the S55. I love the rasp, I love the inline 6 tone that it has. It just sounds so unique and just has a very cool sound in comparison to so many other cars on the road today. However, I completely understand that is not the general sentiment of the overall enthusiast community, and a lot of people are not really the biggest fan of the way that engine sounded. Now, we all know at this point that that is simply due to the unequalized length of the exhaust, and BMW engineers seem to have taken that feedback and actually applied it to this new generation where the S58 exhaust system actually has an equalized length exhaust, and on top of that they've tuned the sound to become a little less raspier and have a bit of a cleaner and smoother inline 6 twin turbo tone. Now I've gotten the chance to hear them in person because a lot of these G8Xs have landed in dealerships, and of course I've seen the car in person now. And I gotta say, it sounds good, it sounds clean, it definitely sounds less raspy, but one thing that I find a little interesting is that from what I heard, and at least in my opinion, it sounds like the engine revs really slowly, almost like a 4-cylinder when the car is just revving, you know, when there's no load on the engine, which I find a little bit strange. And I think another unfortunate damper, especially for the European spec cars, are the fact that they're going to have the OPF filter. So obviously I know for a lot of people that are getting these cars, especially in the European region or market, that's definitely going to be something that they're going to be getting rid of as soon as possible, just to open up and unrestrict the sound as best as possible. But nevertheless, I think overall it sounds pretty good. And the addition of the equalized length exhaust system is something that is very welcome to the overall community.
Fans will know that the M3 M4 has an S58 engine, that's an inline 6-cylinder, With the sound design, we took great care to bring this authentic inline six-cylinder sound back to the car. We had it once before. I'll spare you all the theory. This here is the practice.
Number 3 on our list of cool and neat features actually comes in with the M lap timer and the drift analyzer. Now this is part of the M Drivers Package Pro, I think is what it's called. I'm probably wrong on that, I don't remember the specific name, but it's some like M Drivers Package option thing that includes the drift analyzer, which actually rates and gives you feedback on the quality and the skill of your drifts, which I mean, that's very, very cool just to begin with. But it also has some cool track telemetry built into the car, especially with the form of a lap timer. Now, what I think is really, really convenient about this is just the fact that all these features are integrated into the car itself. Makes it so much easier to basically see how fast you're going on the racetrack and to improve overall on your driving skill. Now, with these cars, the M3 and the M4, they're obviously purpose-built towards track use. I mean, that's what the M3 and the M4 are designed to do, and a lot of people are most definitely going to be taking them to the track. So having that sort of telemetry to, you know, see your feedback off of and obviously figure out how you can improve your driving skill is really, really nice. And on top of that, the lap timer is actually integrated not only into the car's digital gauge cluster, but it's also integrated into the heads-up display, so you can see in real time your specific lap times while you're driving and pounding the car on a racetrack, which is super, super cool. And I think it's a very small feature, but it's very, very welcomed, and it definitely adds to the overall convenience of performance driving in your M car. Moving into the fourth thing on our list that we're going to be talking about is actually the carbon fiber bucket seats. Now, at this point, it's no secret that these carbon fiber buckets are an option to the car, and they've definitely been covered quite extensively, but there are a number of cool things about them. For one, it's just really cool that they're made from carbon fiber. They're lightweight in that sense, and they just look absolutely stunning. But on top of that, I've had the chance to actually sit in the carbon fiber buckets, and I gotta say, they do provide quite a bit of bolstering, not only on the thigh support, but also for the lateral torso section of the seat. You feel very, very hunkered into the seat. And in addition to that, there's actually holes near the shoulder rest to where you can slide harnesses through if you have a roll bar as well in the back of the car, which makes them fully functional. You can even remove the headrests with these little screws that are removable in the headrest itself. And just the accessibility and the track performance that these seats are going to offer is really, really nice. And I think it caters to someone that is going to be using this car for sort of a club sport purpose, or someone that just wants to drive in a performance manner all the time. They're very, very nice. I still think if you're going to be a hardcore track rat or track guy with this car, a true bucket seat is still going to be ideal. But these carbon fiber bucket seats are definitely going to be a nice option for those people that just want a clean OEM Plus solution out of the factory. And again, it's just really cool to see that we have this option from the factory, that BMW is, you know, going down the path of introducing these types of performance additions to the car itself. And for the fifth and final feature about the M3 and M4 of the G80 generation is going to be the manual transmission. Now, you guys are probably thinking again, this is something that we all know about, why are you even talking about this? Well, I think obviously it's very cool that we have the manual option, but I have a very probable suspicion that this is going to truly be the last M car generation that you can get a manual gearbox with. And the reason for that is, I think that if you see the way that the current BMW model lineup is transitioning towards a world of hybrids, hybrid technology, and electric vehicles. Now, as a result of that, manual transmissions won't even be an option for that specific reason, nor will the performance even cater towards a manual transmission. And I think in the next 5 to 6 years, when the next generation of M3 and M4 do come around, I suspect that they will be delivered with some type of significant hybrid assistance or full electrification, which is I mean, I think it is 100% guaranteed that we're going to see that, and as a result of that, I don't think that BMW is going to offer a manual transmission in either of the vehicle's counterparts, which is unfortunate, but it is still cool that in this current time, at the timing of this video, we are still getting that as an option, and it's definitely something I think enthusiasts need to capitalize on. Not only is the manual gearbox pretty much the same unit from what the F8X had, but it's been improved in a small number of ways, but BMW also dumped the MDCT transmission in favor of the ZF 8-speed torque converter unit, which is a fast gearbox, but it's never going to provide the crisp and sharp shifting feeling that the dual clutch always had. And as a result of that, I think it sort of waters down the M experience. It's a transmission that is used in pretty much every BMW nowadays. It's not even exclusive to the M variants. The only difference mainly is just the software tuning of the gearbox itself. And obviously the reason why they went for that is not because the 8-speed was faster than a DCT or something. It's a cost-cutting measure that BMW is implementing because they're trying to move towards this more modular architecture setup with the xDrive implementation in pretty much all of their M cars. And on top of that, using the ZF, it's reliable, it's quick, it's good enough for the vast majority of people. But again, like I said, I don't think it's going to be the transmission of choice. I think the manual in this generation is definitely going to be the way to go. And if I was buying one, I'd be looking for a 6-speed manual myself. So at the very least, kudos to BMW for implementing all 5 of those things that we just covered in today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed this video as always, and I hope you were able to take some cool info from it. Let me know in the comment sections down below. What are your thoughts on the car? Do you guys like the design? I'm not personally the biggest fan of it, but you know, I know there are a lot of people out there that definitely want to get their hands on it. I'm hoping to be able to drive one soon and I can do a full review on the channel for you guys. And nevertheless, I think it's still exciting that we're venturing off into a new generation of BMW M cars. So I can't wait to see where people take this platform. And with all that being said, I'm going to leave it at that. Thank you guys once again for tuning into the video. I will catch you all in the next one. Take it easy, everybody. Bye-bye.